What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome back to another edition of Countdown to Kickoff presented by GoBillsPodcast.com, where our family business is football. I am so ecstatic to be with you tonight. My name is Brett McDurphy, breaking down the Countdown to Kickoff. We are on our first ever episode of Table Talk, where we are doing a Bills Mafia Countdown to Kickoff. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms. And I want to thank everybody for getting us to our ultimate goal of 300 subscribers on YouTube. We were able to get there today, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you for getting us to that goal. So let's break down a little bit of the countdown to kickoff. We're about 15 minutes away from the kickoff of Buffalo Bills football, and we have incredible news for you guys too. Every team in the AFC East has lost today. The Miami Dolphins, New York Jets, and New England Patriots all lost today. But let's get into the inactives for both teams, starting off with the visiting Ravens. The inactives for them are fullback Patrick Ricard is inactive with an injury, as well as Isaiah Likely, the tight end, also injured. Three safety Ruben Lowry, one of their best, in my opinion, special teams aces, is out for the game too, will not play. Running back Keaton Mitchell, offensive tackle Carson Vinson, and offensive lineman David Ajabo. For the Buffalo Bills side of things, we do have one player that is out for this game due to injury. It is cornerback Tre'Davious White. Offensive lineman Cedric Van Pran Granger is not going to play. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel, defensive back Jordan Hancock, offensive lineman Chase Lunt, and defensive end Landon Jackson all will not suit up for the Buffalo Bills. But this is a game where there's not that many surprises, in my opinion. The only one for me is probably Curtis Samuel not playing in this game. But you knew that one of the wide receivers wasn't going to play. It was probably going to be either Elijah Moore or maybe even one of the other guys in Tyrell Shavers. But Buffalo has to mix it in, and we'll see how things go. If you're joining us in the chat, let us know your score predictions of who you think is going to win this game. I'd love to know your comments below. And I want to send a little bit of a prayer out for everybody. One of my friends and fellow podcasters, Mike Fortin from Nickel City Mafia, is having a little bit of a tough situation. His son having a little bit of a health scare. And I want to send my thoughts and prayers over to Mike before we end the show. I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to him. And I know that his son, Jonah, is a huge Baltimore Ravens fan, so this is a tough matchup for Mike. But I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to Jonah and Mike for what they are going through right now. And I wish Jonah a speedy recovery from his surgery that he did have, and as well as just getting back on the right track and getting healthy again. That's what matters, especially for a young man growing up. So let's get into some of the keys to the game for me, as well as we'll get into the weather conditions for what it is, the current temperature is in Buffalo. The keys to the game for me come down to just a few things for the Buffalo Bills. This is going to be a game where it's Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. It's going to be Derrick Henry versus the Bills defense. And for me, it's one of the keys to the game is going to be stopping the run, especially maintaining your gaps and controlling the line of scrimmage for the Buffalo Bills. That's my first key to the game, is controlling the line of scrimmage. I want to see the Bills defensive line doing a really good job of controlling the line of scrimmage and making sure that when you have gap control, that you're not allowing guys like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson to get outside the pocket and beat you going north and south. Make them run east and west so that other guys can tackle them. That's going to be my first key to the game. And then the depth for the Buffalo Bills, you're going to see a lot of guys in rookies that are going to play. Deion Walker, TJ Sanders. You'll hear the names of other players that are coming out too. I want to see what they have to offer. I want to see them step up to the plate. This is a big task, especially with guys like Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt being out. I want to see what the Buffalo Bills have to offer in terms of being able to use their depth pieces and rotate into the defensive line group for the Buffalo Bills. If you're coming into the chat, let us know your comments on the score predictions for the Buffalo Bills game. and we will get into some of the AFC East battles and what happened in the early games for the NFL scores too. We'll get into that right now. Let's start off with the 1 o'clock games and what happened in those games for the AFC East and the Buffalo Bills. We'll start off with the Steelers game against the Jets. The Steelers won 34-32 against the New York Jets, and that was a game where Aaron Rodgers went 22 of 30 for 244 yards, 4 touchdowns in that game, and it came down to a touchdown to end the game. I'm sorry, a field goal to end the game by Chris Boswell, a 60-yard field goal. Incredible placement on that kick, and just to be able to get the distance on that, and that's how the Steelers won that game, 34-32, the final in that matchup. Then we had another game between the Colts and the Dolphins, and that game, I mean, from the get-go, it was just an embarrassment for the Dolphins. They struggled out of the gates. Offense couldn't get into rhythm, and it ended up being a blowout win for the Colts. And I'm trying to find a final score, but it was 33-8 for the Dolphins, losing that game. Only score for that game from Tua Tagovailoa was a rushing touchdown from him. I'm sorry, passing touchdown to Devon Achane. Then we had the matchup that was interesting, which was the Raiders and Patriots. That game was one where we had Pete Carroll coming to the New England Patriots, where he once coached back in the early 90s. And we saw the oldest coach in the NFL get his first win with his new franchise in the Las Vegas Raiders. That game was where Geno Smith went 24 of 34, 362 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception in that game. Drake May on the other side of the ball had 46 attempts, 30 completions for 287 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And that was the beginning of the era of new running backs for both teams. We'll talk about Ashton Genty and Travion Henderson in a second. But 19 carries for Genty, 38 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Travion Henderson, 5 carries, 27 yards for that game. But it came down to a touchdown from Ashton Genty and then a field goal. And we saw a 7-point win for the Raiders over the Patriots. If you're coming into the chat, let us know your thoughts. Mad Chatter, appreciate you in the comments section. Go Bills. Greatly appreciated. We are just under 9 minutes away from kickoff of the Buffalo Bills season, and I can't wait. This is an electric atmosphere where it's going to be under the lights of Orchard Park, New York, the Highmark Stadium, one of the best atmospheres for the farewell season for the Buffalo Bills, and this is, like I mentioned, going to be so much fun to see, and I can't wait for it. But let's break down some of the other keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills. And I mentioned controlling the line of scrimmage, stopping the run. Those are big things that they have to factor in. But another thing that I think that's really important in this game is making sure, number one, that you start off fast for the offensive side of the ball. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, they have not played in the first of 3 preseason games. They didn't play in any of them. So this Bills offense is going to be a little bit rusty. I want to see what the Bills have to offer in terms of getting out of the gates fast. I want to see them being in quick tempo, making sure that everybody's assignment is there and that they're doing their jobs. You might see some penalties early on and probably often for the Buffalo Bills, and that scares me a little bit as a fan, especially. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it scares me a little bit too. Let us know where you're coming from, your thoughts on the game too, score predictions in the comment section. We will greatly appreciate that. John Robert coming into the chat and saying almost couldn't get on. Sorry. Greatly appreciate you being on, John. Go Bills. We'll see you at halftime too as well. Hopefully we'll see you on at halftime. But that's one of my keys to the game, especially is going to be seeing the Buffalo Bills start off fast, because this Baltimore Ravens team, they have so many weapons on offense and on defense that they can just take the crowd away in this game. And the crowd is so important for the Buffalo Bills, especially at home, having home field advantage with all of Orchard Park pretty much there, in my opinion. Make sure that you're utilizing your crowd and your home field advantage to take care of what you need to do. The Bills have to start off fast, get the ball into their playmakers' hands, and make sure that Josh Allen and the offense is putting points on the board. Also, when you get the opportunity, capitalize. When the Baltimore Ravens make mistakes, capitalize and put that into points. We talked about it yesterday on Nickel City Mafia and the Red, White, and Ruthless show. We talked about the Bills capitalizing on turnovers. And it's really important because the last matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, we saw what happened. The Bills won only by 2 points, but they had 3 turnovers that they created, and they didn't capitalize and put points on the board. And that's something that's really important, in my opinion, is getting points on the board off of turnovers. If you're able to do that, that's really going to be important. John Robert coming into the chat saying like and share. Greatly appreciate that. I did see the inactive list. I went over it earlier, but I will recap it real quick for those of you that did not see it. The inactives for the Buffalo Bills real quick. Cornerback Tre'Davious White. Offensive lineman Cedric Van Pran Granger. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel. Defensive back Jordan Hancock. Offensive lineman Chase Lunt. Defensive end Landon Jackson rounds out the inactives for the Buffalo Bills. Then for the Baltimore Ravens, 2 inactives that we already knew about. Patrick Ricard, their fullback and best blocking option, is going to be inactive, as well as Isaiah Likely, their tight end, inactive. Free safety Ruben Lowery, running back Keaton Mitchell, offensive tackle Carson Vincent, and then outside linebacker David Ajabo is inactive too. John Robert coming into the chat saying that he was surprised about Curtis. I was a little bit, but I knew that it was going to come down to either Elijah Moore or Curtis Samuel being inactive. And I think that they're kind of easing him into the lineup, especially with that injury and missing a lot of training camp. I think that they have more continuity with Elijah Moore being getting chemistry with Josh Allen, and that's why they went that way. But they usually go with 5 wide receivers every game too. So I'm not surprised that we saw Tyrell Shavers, because he plays an important special teams role, be active. And I think that he's going to have a catch in this game too. But let's go. We went over the keys to the game, players to watch, but I want to go over the players to watch for me from the Baltimore Ravens defense. And there's 2 players that you need to watch out for, starting off with free safety in Kyle Hamilton. You have to watch out for him. He's one of the best in the NFL and just got paid over $100 million over 4 years from the Baltimore Ravens. And if you're Josh Allen, you got to make sure that you keep your eyes out for where he is on the field, because he will take advantage of a pick in this game if you give him the opportunity to. Then the other player is Roquan Smith, the fast-hitting linebacker, especially when Josh Allen is looking to scramble in this game. You're going to see it time and time again. He's going to look to scramble. He's going to look to roll out to his right. Wherever Roquan Smith is, make sure you're aware and make sure you're not taking a hit from him, because he will hurt you, in my opinion. And this Baltimore Ravens secondary, as well as their defensive line, there's so many players on this line that they can beat you just on their own. I mean, I'm telling you, this defensive line, I looked at it before. It's just incredible to watch. But as I mentioned, I can't wait for this game, and I'm excited for what the Bills have to offer here too. John Robert coming into the chat saying, I think Elijah Moore could back up Shakir, who could be on a snap count. Absolutely. I think that it's going to be either Elijah Moore or Tyrell Shavers being one of the guys that's inside, but probably Elijah Moore, just because he had 600 yards last year with the Cleveland Browns. I think that he'll play an important role. And I think that one of the reasons why the Bills kept him is because of the chemistry that he developed with Josh Allen. And I think that he is going to have an insertion into the lineup, and you'll see what he can really offer. But you didn't see it in the preseason, and I know a lot of people wanted him gone, but I think that he'll be a great fit for the Buffalo Bills too. Let us know your score predictions in the comments section below. We would greatly appreciate it. And we are, like I mentioned, we're just minutes away from kickoff of this game. Let's see what the temperature is currently in Orchard Park, New York. I'm going to pull that up in just a second, but it should be a beautiful day. there. I imagine the weather is perfect. I know that the high temperature was 64 degrees there and the low is 47, but 58 degrees currently in Orchard Park. The winds are at 8 miles an hour, so nothing that you need to worry about in terms of special teams for the Bills. Now, having said that, the special teams unit is without Tyler Bass. If you didn't already hear it, you will now. The Bills elevated Matt Prater, the longtime kicker in the NFL, kicks the most 50-yard field goals in NFL history so far. He is elevated to the active roster off of the practice squad and will take on the kicking duties with Tyler Bass being out and on IR for the first 4 games of the season. He will be the Bills' place kicker this week. Matt Prater was brought up and not signed. If signed, all guaranteed. That's true. But we saw some missed kicks throughout the NFL this week from guys like Chase McLaughlin for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that could have lost them the game. Maybe we see Matt Prater, if he isn't signed to the Buffalo Bills, could he be signed to another roster? That's something that you need to worry about if you're the Buffalo Bills this week. Even though he was elevated to the active roster, that's something that you could worry about is a player on your practice squad being poached, and that's something that I don't want to see. But guys, we are about 5 minutes away from the actual kickoff. I want to turn it over and give you guys a little bit of time to get your snacks, get ready, sit on the couch, get the TV up to a nice, comfortable volume so you can watch the Buffalo Bills kick off their 2025 season. And this is my 7th season covering the Buffalo Bills. I can't wait for this one. We will see you next time at halftime of the Buffalo Bills game between the Baltimore Ravens. We will have highlights and stats of the game. And we will also have updates on how the Buffalo Bills can finish out this game and come home with a victory against the Ravens. We'll see you next time. Stay loud, stay proud, and as always, go Bills.